Oh, I was going to ask you a serious question.
Yeah,
So you used to be a beam of sunshine, and I
I
think you.
still am.
I was going to say, I think you still are.
Yeah.
My thing was like, okay, I've watched so many people on the internet who all like, well, everybody joined at the same time as me because that's my perspective. But I see who they were like 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago. I see who
Hmm.
they are now, and I'm like, where did the humor go? Like, everybody got really serious at some point. And I know you're still a beam of sunshine, but are you still the same beam of sunshine of
Yeah.
introspection? And then the other, like, do you see what I'm talking about with like the people around there? Like, why are you guys like this? The Eric July situation was the most eye-opening thing on the fucking planet. Because I'm like, oh wait, you 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 who criticize everything you encounter get a polite English 101 roasting of storytelling. And the notes that Dick gave weren't even that, they weren't even traditional rude Dick Masters. Like, well, this part
No,
wasn't.
they were nice. They were polite. They're professional.
They're like,
Yeah.
this is not a good retelling of the hero's journey. Here's what you have to do. Here's how he has to fail. Here's how he has to redeem himself. He goes through this. He's got to be an outsider. Why is he an outsider? This guy doesn't sound like an outsider. He does all these things. It's like, okay, this is writing 101. And it's not mean. And Eric
Hmm.
like loses his goddamn fucking mind on it. It's like you spend all day criticizing Hollywood, all day, and major comic book companies, and this guy gives you a pretty good rundown of how you tell a basic story. And he even acknowledges, like, he's like, dude, you picked a detective story, which is like one of the hardest things to write. He's not wrong about that. Like, you have to dupe the audience while also giving them enough clues to figure it out if they're smart
Hmm.
enough.
Yeah.
And then having them go at the end and realize, oh yeah, if I had known this and this and this when I read this, I would have gotten there. That's a detective novel. Like you wrote this, which is impossible, and you didn't do it well. But here's some notes on how you could have done it better, change things up. And Aaron's like, I mean, you can't criticize, blah, blah, blah. And it creates this fucking meltdown in the comics, the independent creator area. Like, why did you guys all get so serious? Why did she just said, oh man, if Dick wants to help out, he can help out with an ISOM #2. That should have been the response, right?
That would have been fine. Yeah. Like to me, that yellow flash stream was like the most eye-opening moment, and that was like a year ago. It was last summer. I came home from the beach, and I got on the stream, and it's just like that. Just completely changed my whole YouTube life. My whole time on YouTube, because I just figured. Yeah, I just figured like yeah, Eric's gonna do comics. He's new at it. He's gonna want to learn. And then, like, he completely rejected basic criticism and got infuriated about it, and everybody got afraid that he was angry. And I went, this sucks. This sucks. I don't like this.
It's so weird.
Like, we were afraid to criticize him. Like, we were afraid to
You
come
got
out
the
and just be
night
like,
letter, and like
yeah,
the problem is, you believe your friends when they say your beef with him is you like you guys have your thing and it doesn't matter,
mm,
right? You
right,
believe that, but then you also notice that like less and less of your friends are talking to you. Like, you notice that less and less of your friends are inviting you on shows, and less of your friends want to like come on yours, and you're like, I mean, I know it's his and mine, and they're not doing it nefariously. It's subconsciously because everybody is like, well, shit. If I go on this show, if I do this thing, if I say this thing, you're not worried about the other streamers. You're worried about the chat who's divided and in a rift, and they want to get away from the drama for a minute, so they go over here, and then suddenly you're there or someone else is there.
yeah.
It brings
It
them
was a
back to
real
it, and
fucking
they're like,
nightmare.
fuck. And that's why you don't want to go on streams. You're like, there's so many streams I wanted to go on. People invited me to, and I'm like, oh, so and so's gonna be. Look, I don't want to cause any weird shit.
You'll be making a statement about your allegiance. You know what I mean?
Or,
Like
or
all that
chats are
stuff
gonna
goes
come in.
on.
Chats are gonna come in, and be like, hey, what about this and this? You're with Geeks and Gamers. You're Nick Ricade. What are you gonna do? I'm like, Geeks and Gamers always been good to me. Like, I have good relationships with all of them. None of that changed with Eric July. Like, I don't think I have a great relationship with Eric anymore, but like I barely knew the guy. I said he was my friend. We're aligned in the movement. We got along just fine. People don't realize that that's like an internet friend. And then they're like, well, you sold out your friend. I'm like, well, I didn't sell him out for one thing. He sold himself out on my show like an idiot. I told him not to do it. And he came in, stormed into my chat, like demanding to be on. So I was like,
Amazing.
okay.
Some of the most incredible YouTube. I mean, I'm grateful to have been a part of it. I don't look at it the way I guess you do. I just kind of go, that was amazing. I love this. This is like a fantastic YouTube, fantastic exposing of a person and the hubris of this idea that you can just come in and do a comic book. Like, You got the
Selfish
entire
push,
internet
right?
behind you and all the support in the world. And it's like, it turns out that my job's pretty hard, isn't it? It's not that easy.
Of
You
course
can't
it
do it.
is.
And
Arclight Redux says this is some great ABS, Nick. Go back and watch that stream. I was doing a stream to stay away from the drama. Eric comes in chat, says, "Bring me on." I bring him on. I'm very friendly and deferential to him. I have questions. Dude, guys, he's on the internet saying if he were there, he could have pulled out a gun and put bullet holes in Riley.
that was so
for
weird.
sitting in a public parking lot and no one asking Riley to leave. This is the thing that everybody misses. No one ever said, "Hey, motherfucker, can you just drive out of this parking lot?" I'll tell you, if he stays at that point, like, okay, things get crazy. No one did. So instead he goes up, he tapes some dollars. He tapes federal currency to the window, and on it he had drawn shitty pictures of rabbits. That's what Eric didn't want to say on the stream, because I asked him, like, when did he put on there? Is it like threats or whatever? He drew rabbits on there because that was the joke. The bunnies in chat. And so that's what he did. That's the extent of the threatening behavior that Riley had. And they're like, well, there's a fat autistic white retard outside, and he's gonna do it in OnlyFans out in the parking lot, and that'll be gross. And he's probably like shit talking on Twitter while he does it, which is really offensive. It's like, well, did you ask him to go? It's like, well, no, there's a gate in the front. Well, but the back's on a public road, right? Yeah. Was there a gate in the back? Well, no.
That was crazy. He's sitting there gaslighting you about the privacy of his compound on an industrial business park. It was the weirdest shit. You can watch it. Like I said, those streams are amazing, and I've watched that stream 3 times because it's so fun to watch you struggle and him kind of try to do, like, ordinarily the way a person like that approaches a normal person is they just keep talking until you give up. And you know that, like, the warehouse in the industrial business park is not private property. You know that.
4 businesses there.
That's right. But he's going to keep talking and keep saying things like, well, that's not a point of contention. And he's going to keep saying weird shit until you just give up. But you didn't give up. And that's what was so amazing about it. You just kept pushing him like a lawyer would. It is the best YouTube. I mean, it's amazing to watch those videos. I'm really glad they got preserved. I've shown them to people who just didn't know. I mean, I showed them on Trashcast a couple months ago. People didn't know about it. People didn't see them, and they're just fascinating. They're amazing. Well, so I mean, at some point I just decided, like, yeah, there's a lot of people who are connected to each other because they're hoping to make a living from each other. You know, they're hoping that, you know, and that's okay as long as there's some truth and balance in there somewhere. But when you have to lie and be dishonest in order to sort of stay a part of that crew so that you can then there's something wrong, and you need to reevaluate things a little bit. Everybody's sitting there like nobody's read this comic book, and you're all telling everybody else nobody's read it. And you're all telling everybody how great it is and how awesome it is. I remember when we first started, like, criticizing Star Wars, there was this guy, John, what the fuck is his name? We called them Star Wars shills, Disney shills, people who just, immediately said everything Disney did was great.
Yeah, is Zio guy?
I can't remember what his name is.
Zio's a weirdo. That guy posts a million videos. He posts more videos.
Oh, Mike Zero. He's a conspiracy theorist, but there are a lot of people who just are like, Disney's great. Everything Disney does is awesome. And we would kind of make fun of them because we go, you just want access. You're somebody who's like sucking Disney's ass because you want to be invited back. When we're sitting there saying Star Wars is terrible, we know that we're never going to get access to anything.
Right.
But I mean, there are people who are doing that now. It's just like, I'm going to sit there and promote this thing that I don't even know if I really like it or not, but I want access to this audience.
Right.
And to me, that's intolerable. It was a scary thing to let go of, but I had to let go of it. I just had to.
You saw that happen in the early days of Comicsgate, right? Everybody would come out, they'd say, I'm Comicsgate, and they'd get on streams of other people. Those people would build relationships, and they'd kind of work their way up the pyramid. It's like, okay, their goal is to always get on an EVS stream. And because if they got on the EVS stream, they're going to make 60 to 100 grand on a shitty comic book just because you're really good at getting people energized and motivated about a project. And so they'd They try and weasel their way in.
Hopefully they're not shitty comic books. Sometimes they were, but I mean, hopefully they're pretty good efforts, you know, from people.
Right. And you know, sometimes they have a good pitch, right? Here's the comic, here's some art. Then it comes out. If it comes out, people are disappointed. And it's like, you're like, I had a guy on a show, and everybody who comes on the show, we're going to promote their book, obviously, because we believe in independent creation. We want to get away from these major studios. But then you're like painted as this guy who's like done this. It's like, well, how much can you trust a person in this industry? You can hope that what they're representing is true. You can look at the work they've done, say, okay, if they finish this work, it'll be good. That's honest, and that's how you do things. And again, you got a recommendation from a friend. Oh, I've been on the stream a couple times. Like, okay, fine. Like, that's how I got on your show, and I didn't even have anything to promote except, you know, degeneracy.
Well, you being on my show, and most of the people who are on my show all the time are on there because they make it easier for me to sell my stuff. You know, it's like I just want to entertain people and have a good time, and then people buy my comic books. But you know, in certain cases, yeah, like lately I used to be like, I'm going to help everybody. Now I've become much more selective. You know, I'm only going to really promote people whose books I know are really, really good. I know these people. I know these guys. And it just has, everything's changed. But to answer your question, I'm still very much the human sunbeam. Very much a beam of light in the darkness, which I have to be. Leading the way, paternal, fatherly wisdom, etc., etc. For these fatherless motherfuckers, you know, I gotta help these people as much as I can.